AIDS patients.
AIDS patients. Okay, when did that change?
90s.
So they went from being invisible to being visible? Is that?
Well, they went from being deviants, but as people learned about how AIDS was transferred, or as policymakers and decision makers learned about how that's being transferred,
Okay.
their status changed.
Who else?
Unions?
Unions? Unions used to be very, very positively
Not raising my hand.
socially constructed. Yeah.
Single moms.
Single moms, absolutely. Yep.
Tendence to be
Yep. Anybody else?
Non-violent criminals?
Non-violent criminals.
And minor drug abuses?
Okay. Yeah.
Good examples.
I feel like that one was sort of a condition to a problem kind of thing. But yeah.
Well, I just think as that has affected more and more white people, that's when it's changed.
Yeah. Gay marriage? Did anybody talk about that one? That's a huge one. And that happened really fast. I have to say that happened fast. Okay. I thought this was a useful, I have to say, I can't remember what reading it's from. But we talked about, that might have been, I can't remember. We talked about how I think we've pretty much covered all this. We talked about policies from other subsystems, diffusion might have an impact. External shocks. Example, 9/11, right? That's learning. Like, what was the case from today where there was learning?
Fracking?
The fracking case. So people's views do change. Narratives, I don't think we've talked a ton about, but they are very powerful, but it's sort of consistent with a policy image. And heuristics, right? Once you have a policy image and sort of a narrative that goes with it, maybe if that narrative changes somehow, that's a big deal. You might have mobilization internally if they're in response to some sort of feedback. Some argue that the Roe versus Wade totally mobilized Christians and brought them into politics the way they never had been before. So mobilization, maybe the group attributes change, so some sort of different kind of player comes into the group and changes things. And obviously the policy entrepreneur, stroke policy broker can be very important. All right, let's see, we still have a few minutes. Okay, good. So I'm going to ask you to talk about social construction and these causal drivers within your policy issues. Just see if you see how social construction might be useful. In some of your issues, it's really, really useful, and some it's a little less useful. So just take a minute and talk about that.